And joining us now, Rockland County Executive Ed Day. Thank you for joining us. Tell me a little bit more about what you're concerned about at this moment, given what the White House is saying.
Well, first of all, what the White House is saying is a dollar short and a penny late. The first thing I said when this came to my attention from my constituents was remain calm, we'll get some answers, et cetera, et cetera. We called for calm, and so did many of my colleagues. The ridiculous lacking response by the federal government is the cause for the concern people have expressed. They don't trust the government. I don't blame them at this point. It's just something that there was a lackadaisical attitude towards it. Can you imagine if we had an airport shut down back in the 1960s? What would John Kennedy do? Stay home and hide? Or would he come out and lead and instill some sort of sense of calm within the people of the country? That's what is necessary. I'm a former police commander. I get that. I understand the way it's supposed to work. But until the government does something tangible now, they've made it more difficult for themselves. And out here in Rockland County, or sister county, Orange County, their airport was shut down for an hour. Why? Because of drone activity. I understand there was a report that a military helicopter had to go down because of drone activity. These things have never happened before. This is a unique situation. This has never happened before. In those kind of situations, the presence of the leader is demanded. There's no other way of putting that.
But what is the solution here? Is it to outlaw drones? Because are you concerned that maybe because there's been so many sightings and people have been talking about it so much, you're having a lot of hobbyists throwing up drones in the air to try and continue this conversation? Yeah. And the issue is probably potentially being compounded by people who are just enjoying the spectacle of it.
I don't agree with banning drones. I don't agree with saying you can't have them. The issue here is not the drone itself. The issue here is the fact that they're out there. And only until now, from 3 days over the weekend, 4 days since the weekend, are we getting any kind of seemingly cohesive response from the federal government. And I'll be honest with you, when you tell me that we don't know what it is, but we know it's not a threat, that's dismissive. That is not handling.
So what is the better answer? What's the better answer?
A reasonable answer is to establish a sense of calm with the people in the country. First of all, let them know that they're doing something now, which is being done. But now I think what they should be, the federal government should be doing is opening up the books. Let people know exactly what they did find. I see a lot of information that's coming out is very vague. It's doublespeak. There's nothing specific being done that is telling us what this is exactly going on. And I recognize there may be some things they can't talk about, and that is presented in a calm, direct, authoritative manner. People will be fine. But the way things have been done so far really is beyond short.
What do you think these are?
I think some of them are drones. Some of them maybe are not. I think that the concerns are legitimate. I'm not going to say to my neighbors who are giving me details of what's going on are wrong all the time. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that we have a situation here that demands attention. The federal government was slow to get on its feet and do that, and we have not seen anybody in elected office, such as the president or the vice president, trying to take control of the situation and calm things down a bit. That's what's necessary in this stage of the game.
How do you get these drones out of the air? Do you think people should, or do you think there should be the authority for local governments to take them down?
I think the one thing that might be helpful at this point, if there was a moratorium put out there for 48 hours or 72 hours, except for business, because the businesses have to register with the FAA, something that will calm the folks down out there and also minimize the amount of sightings that we're getting. We're running down our sightings here in Rockland County, but we're just one county out of 62 in the entire state of New York State. Our sheriff's department is segmenting calls. We're sending uniformed officers to locations to try to get a better read on exactly what's going on out there. But that should not be left to us as local law enforcement. It really shouldn't be.
Ed Day, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it, and we hope we get some answers to whatever the heck is going on out there. Ed Day, thank you.